All right, everybody, back to work. We have Jeff Burton here with us. Everybody up and running on their audio there? Ready to go? All righty, Jeff, busy week, busy weekend at Dover. What are your thoughts at the moment?
Well, I mean, we had a real strong run last week, which is what we needed to do. We needed to find a way to step up our speed a little bit. I thought we did that. We struggled in practice a little bit last week, but found a way to be fast when it counted. Unfortunately, we just came up short on fuel. The 33 was able to make it, and we weren't. So that was disappointing. We got, on the other hand, we ran out with the car missed with 2 to go, and still finished 15th. So part of me feels like it didn't work out as well as it could have for sure. But another part of me says it's a whole lot better than it could have been. Running, sputtering with 2 to go and still finishing 15th was a blessing. So, it's on to the next race. Again, I feel good about the effort that we've put out there, and we'll see what that gets us this week.
Sounds good. Questions for Jeff? I see Bob Parker, so let's start with him. As a reminder, state your name and affiliation.
Bob Parker, SceneDaily.com. In light of Clint's penalty, how do you feel about the legality of your cars, and are you concerned about RCR's reputation?
Well, we and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about this. If it's okay, I'll say everything I have to say about it in one shot here. We have a lot of belief at RCR about integrity and about doing things the right way. In no means did the 33 car go to the racetrack believing that in any form or fashion they would have any trouble with tech whatsoever. Like other teams have been warned the week before that, NASCAR was telling them that they were really, really close to the tolerances with that car. And so there was an effort, put in to make sure that there was no issue. And of course there was an issue. So there's a circumstance there it's an odd circumstance. Obviously not questioning NASCAR's measuring abilities because, it's pretty precise the way they do it. But the intent was certainly to be 100% legal. And to the point where, it was very clear that car was going to the tech center. So there is a circumstance. It's odd there that Richard's made it pretty clear he's going to appeal it, and his grounds for appeal are he's stated. So that is what it is, and it's disappointing. We feel 100% confident that we don't have a problem with our cars, based on the fact that we've not had a problem with our cars. The prior to the last 2 weeks, there's been no issue, and we just have to believe in our measurements and believe in what we know and what we learned, and it is what it is. So it's a very disappointing thing for the 33. It's made us all look very, very closely at what we're doing, and certainly is a cause for concern for the other two teams, obviously for the 33 as well. But we believe we have the matter under control.
We'll go Newton and then Claire. David, raise your hand there. Oh, got it. Thank you.
Jeff, David Newton, ESPN.com. Don't want to belabor the point, but if one car is legal on Sunday and not on Wednesday, do you think there are others out there, and do you think that's an argument to start taking all the cars, or at least the chase cars, to the tech center?
Well, the more cars they take to the chase center, the more cars they take to the tech center, the more cars are more thoroughly looked at. That's not to say, though, I don't want to insinuate that I think there's a bunch of illegal cars running around. I don't believe that. I believe that in this case, there's a great possibility something happened during the race that changed. I know the work that went into that car to make sure that it was legal, and there was a tremendous amount of effort after Richmond to make sure it was legal. So something odd happened. That's the more cars they take to the tech center, the more cars will be looked at in a very thorough fashion. I think a lot of fans don't realize the difference between teching at the racetrack and teching at the tech center. Okay, the inspection process here is as diligent as it can be here. There's no way to measure the cars here the way they can measure them there. It's just impossible. So, just so the fans understand, the first step in the inspection process happens here. And the final step, which is a more thorough view, happens there. And a lot of people are concerned, well, how can a car pass tech pre-post race but not pass on Tuesday? And that people need to understand that it's the way that you can measure at the tech center is completely different than the way you can measure here. And I think there's a great deal of confusion about that.
Claire.
Claire Beelang, Sirius NASCAR Radio. Jeff, is it hard when one car in an organization has this issue, and you guys have all been working so hard to get that organization back, and you got a lot of people back there working on it? What's the morale back there? Not talking about what's inside the other cars or anything like that, but when people have worked hard and then this happens, well, the lights shine on that entire organization.
Well, we all work very hard together, and we all work very well together. And when a team's doing well or a team's having a problem, we've all done it together in one form or fashion. So, we're not. I'm not standing here today saying, hey, it's a 33 problem, not a 31 problem. It's an RCR problem, and if it's an RCR problem, then we all need to pitch in together to fix it. And it just is what it is. I mean, I think that I just think that everybody needs to understand that it was very clear that car was going to the tech center. And there's no way that something intentionally would have been done to make that car illegal. You know what I mean? And I just, that's what's difficult about this situation.
What do you mean it's very clear it was going to the tech center?
Well, after they got close to the tolerances on, at Richmond, NASCAR, the same way they did last year with the Hendrick cars, when you start getting really close and they start looking closer at you, which, by the way, they should. That's their job. No one's questioning NASCAR's ability to measure cars, and no one's questioning the fact that they should measure cars. And when you start pushing the edge and they start looking at you close, they need to look at you closer. That's their job. They're here to police the sport. And so, when you get real close but you're still legal, they're going to start looking at you harder. So Richard was aware that they were going to take that. Most likely, they were going to take that car. So it wasn't a surprise whether they won the race or finished 30th that car was going to go to the tech center.
Joe, raise your hand for a microphone there. Thank you.
Jeff, I know the precedent has long ago been set that they don't take away wins. Do you agree with that, or do you understand why that is?
I don't. I understand why it is, and I understand why some people don't agree with it, and I understand why some people do agree with it. And they've always been consistent with it at this level. They haven't always been consistent with it at lower levels. I had a win taken away from me in the Nationwide Series years ago, won the race and was deemed illegal when the race was over, and they did take the win away. But at this level, they've seemed to have never done that. I think consistency is important. I think that if NASCAR decides at some point, if you're illegal, we're going to take the win away, there needs to be an announcement about that. You know what I mean? Because we can't at this point, they just can't jump up and say, well, we're going to take the win away, because they never have at this level. So if they decide to change that policy, then that would need to be done between years, or would need to be done with an announcement, hey, in the future we're going to. It couldn't just be a deal where they said, all right, in this situation we're going to do that, because that would be inconsistent with what they've done with every other call.
What else for Jeff? Anyone else? Dustin?
Dustin Long, Landmark Newspapers. Jeff, can you talk about pressure in the chase, and does it escalate? Do you feel it? I think back to a few years ago when you were leading the chase. Were you even feeling pressure? Were you feeling it once you had your Martinsville issues, or do you feel it when you're sixth and starting to fade, or does it exist?
I think the reality of the situation is a lot clearer this time of year. There's when we went to New Hampshire, there were 12 teams that felt like they had a chance to win the championship, which meant there were a lot of teams that knew they couldn't. When you left New Hampshire, there were teams that had less of a chance to win the championship, and that continues throughout those 10. And so there's pressure when you start to become one of those teams that isn't going to have a chance, because everything you've built your whole year is about winning a championship. And then there's pressure for the teams that are in position to win a championship, because now it's, I have to execute. I think it's important to note, and I think only experience can teach you this, is that, for a field goal kicker, if he's kicking a field goal, it doesn't matter if it's 1 second to go in a game, a tie ball game, or it's the first quarter and you're up by 21. You still kick the ball the same way. And if you don't, you choke. So the situation that you're in can't drive the way you respond to it. You have to respond to the situation the same all the time. And when you don't, I think that's when mistakes are made. So, it's a good pressure. It's a bad pressure when you start getting yourself out of it, but it's a good pressure when you're in the hunt and you feel like you have a chance. I mean, if you don't like that pressure, get the hell out. That's what we do. It's what sports are all about.
Jeff Hood, you have the last question.
Y'all got something to talk about?
Jeff Hood of Racing Today. Jeff, last week at Loudon, the guys that qualified second and third up front led almost all the laps, so that shows how important qualifying is. With that being said, should NASCAR take a look at having the 12 chase drivers kind of qualify as a group so there's no advantage with the weather changing during qualifying?
Well, I don't know if that shows how important qualifying is, or if it shows how important it is to have a fast car. If the car that qualified second would have been a 10th place car, he wouldn't have led all of his laps. He led all his laps because he had a car that could win the race. So, I think that, yeah, a track position is a great thing, but a 10th place car starting third ain't going to go lead 100 and some laps because he's going to fall back. So a fast cars up front are going to be hard to deal with. And what we had last week was we had, especially Clint, we had a fast car starting up front, and he went and led a tremendous amount of laps. So where all the cars qualify is something to talk about. I mean, I think it might make it interesting, to get everybody to qualify at the same time, you know what I mean? Not necessarily, if you qualify 20th in the field, you ought to start 20th. If you're the fifth fastest chase guy, you shouldn't start fifth. You should start wherever you qualify, the same way they pay points. But it might be interesting for all the chase drivers to be the last 12 cars to go out to qualify or something like that.
Jeff, thank you. Good luck this weekend.